So what does it really mean to be a citizen? It sounds like a simple question, right? But it's actually this huge, powerful idea with a really wild history. We're going to trace its journey all the way from an exclusive little club in ancient Greece through a time when it practically vanished for centuries to what it means for every single one of us in our connected world today.
And it all comes down to this one simple question. Who gets to decide the rules? Seriously, that's the key to understanding one of the most important ideas in all of history, citizenship. It's the answer to who belongs, who has power, and what really holds a community together.
All right, so our story kicks off thousands of years ago in two places you've definitely heard of, ancient Greece and Rome. This is where the whole concept of being a citizen first came to life. So back in ancient Greek cities like Athens, citizenship was basically the super exclusive club. And I mean really exclusive. Only a tiny group of men even got in. If you were one of the lucky few, you had the right to vote and help make the laws. But, and this is a big but, it wasn't a free pass. You also had a very serious duty. When the city was in danger, you had to be ready to grab your shield and spear and go fight to defend it. Now the Romans, they took this Greek idea and just completely transformed it. For the Greeks, citizenship was all about being an active participant in your small city. For the Romans, though, it was more like having a legal superpower that protected you across a massive, sprawling empire. They're actually really clever about it. They used it as a tool. Conquer a new land, grant its people citizenship, and boom, suddenly they have a reason to be loyal to Rome. It was a genius way to hold their entire empire together.
But then, the Roman Empire falls apart. And for centuries, this huge idea of citizenship, it just, well, vanishes. Europe entered a completely different kind of era. And this new era was defined by a system called feudalism. Under feudalism, there weren't really any citizens with rights. There were only subjects with ranks. Your entire life was basically determined by your loyalty to a local lord whose land you worked. Your world wasn't a country. It was that lord's castle and the land around it.
Then, a period called the Enlightenment comes along and just sparks this revolution in thinking. Philosophers introduced a total game changer, the social contract. Think of it like a deal. The people agree to let the government have power, but, and here's the kicker, in return, the government has to protect the people's natural rights. You know, things like life and liberty. And if the government breaks that deal, the people can take that power right back. Suddenly, the power was with the people again.
So here's the really crucial point. The idea of citizenship wasn't some straight, neat line through history. Not at all. It was born, then it got lost for hundreds of years, and then it came roaring back, stronger and more powerful than ever before. And that rebirth really paved the way for the modern world.
This comeback, this rebirth of citizenship, it wasn't quiet, not even close. It sparked actual revolutions and kicked off these long, hard fights to figure out who really got to be included. The American and French revolutions took these big philosophical ideas and turned them into reality. They were like giant, real-world experiments. In America, they built a brand new country, not around a king, but around a Bill of Rights that was all about protecting citizens' freedoms. Over in France, they declared that all people were born free and equal. For the first time, nations were being built on the power of their citizens. But, you know, that word everyone, it came with a huge asterisk next to it. For centuries, women were completely left out of the picture. Activists had to fight for decades, and they used a really simple, powerful argument. Hey, if we have to pay taxes and we have to obey the laws, then we absolutely deserve a voice in creating them. And that brings up another massive struggle. In the United States, for instance, even after slavery was abolished and former slaves were technically granted citizenship on paper, true equality was a long, long way off. It took another whole century of the civil rights movement to tear down unfair laws and fight for a simple truth, that citizenship has to mean the exact same thing for everyone, no matter what their race is.
Okay, so after all that history, all those struggles, what does citizenship actually mean for us, right here, right now?
Well, for one thing, today, where you happen to be born doesn't have to be the final word. Most countries have a process called naturalization. It allows someone who moves to a new country to officially become a citizen. Now, it's usually a long road. It often requires you to live there for years, learn the language, and even pass a test on the nation's history and its laws.
Of course, being a citizen isn't just about what you get, it's also about what you give back. It's about responsibilities. These are the things we all do that kind of keep society running smoothly. Paying taxes? That's what funds our schools and roads. Obeying laws? That keeps us all safe. And doing things like serving on a jury or even just staying informed about what's going on, that's what helps keep our democracy healthy.
So after this whole epic journey, from ancient Greece all the way to today, where is the idea of citizenship heading in the future?
Our super-connected world is pushing the idea of citizenship into brand new territory. Two new ideas are really starting to pop up. First, there's global citizenship. That's the idea that we have a responsibility not just to our own country, but to the entire planet and everyone on it, especially when it comes to huge issues like climate change. And second, there's digital citizenship, which is all about how we act online. It means treating people with respect and being responsible with information in our digital communities.
So, from a tiny club in ancient Greece to this big global digital idea, the meaning of citizenship is always changing. Its story is still being written. And the really cool part, you are now a part of that story. What happens next? Well, that's up to us.